The restaurant was unusually quiet for a Friday evening, and CEO Adrian Cole felt the tension the moment he stepped inside. He had come only for a quick dinner after a long meeting, hoping to clear his head. As he took his seat, a young waitress approached him, nervous, eyes darting around. She placed a glass of water in front of him, but her hands trembled slightly, as if she was forcing herself to stay calm. Adrian noticed everything, but before he could ask, she slipped a small folded note under the edge of the plate. He frowned, glancing down at the note discreetly. In hurried handwriting it said, "Don't drink it. And leave now." A chill ran down his spine, and he slowly lifted his gaze to the waitress. She stood stiffly, pretending to check her order pad, but her breathing was uneven. Adrian could tell she was terrified. He leaned back slightly, scanning the room without making it obvious. Nothing seemed out of place. Yet the urgency in her handwriting made his heart beat faster. When she stepped back to walk away, Adrian reached out and grabbed her wrist gently but firmly. "What's going on?" he whispered, trying to keep his voice steady. The girl flinched but didn't pull away. Her eyes filled with panic as she shook her head lightly, signaling him not to speak. She glanced toward the bar counter, where two men in black jackets stood, pretending to watch the game on TV but shifting their eyes toward them every few seconds. "My name's Mia," she whispered. "Please trust me, you're in danger." Adrian swallowed hard, his instincts telling him she wasn't acting. Her fear was real, raw. She leaned closer, pretending to clean the table. "They came in 15 minutes before you. They told the bartender to serve you that drink. I saw him mix something into it. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't normal." Adrian felt a hot surge of anger mixed with disbelief. Who would target him like this? Instead of panicking, Adrian slipped into the calm, calculating mindset that had built his empire. "Is there a back exit?" he whispered. Mia nodded slightly. "But they're watching it. They're waiting for you to leave alone." Adrian's jaw tightened. He couldn't simply walk into a trap. "Then you're coming with me," he murmured, surprising her. She blinked, confused. "Me? Why?" Adrian leaned in. "Because they've seen you warn me. You're not safe either." Her face turned pale. Until that moment, she thought only his life was at risk. The reality hit her like a blow. The men had indeed been watching her every move. Suddenly, one of them stood up, heading casually toward the restroom but glancing subtly at their table. Adrian loosened his grip on her wrist, signaling her to act normal. She straightened up quickly, took his plate, and walked toward the kitchen as if nothing had happened. Adrian followed her with his eyes, thinking fast. Whoever wanted him harmed had planned this with precision. But why here? Why now? He checked his phone. No unknown messages, no warnings from security, nothing. It didn't add up. He noticed the second man leaving the bar area, slowly circling closer to his table. Adrian reached into his jacket, turning on a hidden emergency beacon used only in extreme situations. The signal would go straight to his personal security chief. Mia returned with forced calm, placing a new glass of water, untouched, before him. "Act like you're drinking," she murmured behind a polite smile. Adrian lifted the glass, pretending to sip while watching the shadow of the first man reappear near the hallway. "I'll get you out," Adrian said under his breath, "but we need a distraction." Mia swallowed nervously. I can fake a fall." Adrian shook his head. "Too risky. They'll react fast. We need chaos." As if on cue, the restaurant lights flickered. A brief power surge, then everything returned to normal. It gave Adrian an idea. "The breaker box, where is it?" Mia's eyebrow arched in confusion. "Near the back storage." "Good," Adrian whispered. "When the lights go out again, run." Mia felt her chest tighten. "Are you sure?" He nodded. "I'll cause enough confusion for both of us." She stared at him, amazed at how calm he was despite the threat hovering over them. Moments later, Adrian stood up casually, pretending to stretch, then made his way toward the restroom. The men's eyes followed him. But Mia slipped behind the counter, pretending to grab extra napkins. The air grew thick with tension, as if the walls themselves anticipated what would happen next. Adrian pushed the restroom door open, but instead of entering, he slipped into the staff-only hallway leading deeper into the building. The corridor was dim, cluttered with boxes and cleaning supplies. He moved quickly, looking for the breaker room. The hum of electrical equipment grew louder as he approached a metal door labeled, "Maintenance." He opened it, the smell of warm wiring filling the air. He gripped the main switch, breathing deeply. "Time to vanish," he muttered. Then he pulled it down. The restaurant was thrown into instant darkness. Screams and startled voices filled the dining area. Plates crashed, chairs scrapped. Mia used the moment to sprint toward the back door. But one of the men cursed loudly, realizing what was happening. Adrian ran back toward the main area, using the shadows as cover. He saw the silhouettes of the men moving frantically. One tried to reach the exit, but Mia was already slipping out into the alleyway. Adrian changed direction, following her through the chaos. The alley outside was narrow and cold, illuminated only by a distant street lamp. Mia was panting, hands shaking. "Where now?" she whispered. Adrian pulled her behind a dumpster just seconds before the restaurant's back door slammed open. One of the men stepped outside, scanning the darkness. Adrian held Mia close, both of them silent. Footsteps crunched closer. Mia's breath hitched. Adrian pressed his hand gently over her mouth to keep her quiet. The man paused only a few feet away. Adrian's muscles tensed. If he turned their way, they'd be exposed. A sudden siren wailed in the distance, distracting the man. He cursed under his breath and stepped further away, looking toward the street. Adrian seized the opportunity. "Run," he whispered to Mia. They darted down the alley, turning sharply into a second passageway. The cold night air cut their skin, but adrenaline kept them moving. When they reached a busy intersection, Adrian slowed, pulling Mia against a brick wall. "Stay still," he warned. The crowd helped them blend in. Cars honked. People laughed. It was a different world from the horror they'd escaped moments ago. "They won't expect us to head toward the traffic," Adrian murmured. Mia clung to his sleeve, still trembling. "Why? Why would anyone want to hurt you?" He looked away. Business. Power. Enemies. A black SUV screeched around the corner, headlights sweeping the sidewalk. Mia gasped. Adrian pulled her behind a bus stop shelter just in time. "That's them," she whispered. The vehicle slowed as if searching. Adrian thought quickly. "We need to get indoors." He spotted a 24-hour pharmacy across the street. "On my signal," he said. The moment the SUV turned its lights away, they bolted across the road, weaving through traffic, bursting into the store. The pharmacist glanced up in alarm as they entered, panting. Adrian approached quickly. "We need the back room, now. It's an emergency." His tone carried authority. The pharmacist hesitated but complied, letting them slip behind the counter. Mia leaned against a shelf, catching her breath. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen." Adrian shook his head. "You saved my life. Don't apologize." Mia's eyes softened, emotions overwhelming her. "I thought you wouldn't believe me," she confessed. Adrian gave a faint smile. "I've learned to trust instincts." "And yours were screaming." Suddenly, his phone buzzed. His security chief's voice came through. "We got your signal. Location." Adrian gave brief instructions. "We'll be there in 3 minutes." "Don't move," the chief replied. Adrian exhaled. Help was near. The SUV passed by the pharmacy, slowing again. Mia spotted it through the small window and froze. "They're still looking." Adrian stepped in front of her protectively. "They won't get close. Not now." The pharmacist locked the front door at his request, pretending the store was closed. The tension inside felt unbearable, every second stretching like a lifetime. Adrian checked the time repeatedly, counting down the seconds until his team arrived. Finally, 2 black security vehicles pulled up quietly outside. Adrian unlocked the back door, and his bodyguards rushed in. "Sir, are you hurt?" one asked. Adrian shook his head. "I'm fine, but she comes with us." They nodded immediately, forming a protective circle around them both. Mia looked overwhelmed. "I've never had security escort me anywhere," she murmured weakly. Adrian placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Get used to it, for tonight at least." Inside the SUV, Mia sat beside Adrian, still trying to understand how her normal shift had turned into a life-or-death escape. "I don't understand," she said softly. "Why poison? Why not something else?" Adrian sighed deeply. "Because it's clean, quick, and hard to trace." She swallowed, horrified. "But who?" Adrian cut her off. Someone who wants to control what I own. Someone desperate. When they reached his private residence, the gates closed behind them with a heavy metallic thud. Guards patrolled every corner. Mia stepped out timidly, staring at the mansion. Are you sure I should be here? Adrian nodded. Until we know who's behind this, you're safer with me. She followed him inside, still shaken. The warm light of the entry hall felt comforting compared to the cold streets outside. A doctor on standby checked Adrian first, then turned to Mia after noticing a bruise on her arm from when the man had nearly grabbed her inside the restaurant. As he examined her, Adrian watched silently, guilt tightening his chest. She had risked everything for him, a stranger. When the doctor left, Adrian approached her. You didn't have to get involved. But you did. I won't forget that. Mia sat on the edge of the couch, fingers intertwined nervously. I couldn't let you die. I overheard too much. They didn't know I was behind them. Adrian's gaze softened. You're braver than you think. She smiled faintly but then frowned. What happens now? Will they come after me? Adrian shook his head. Not anymore. My team will make sure of it. But inside, he knew the truth. This was only the beginning. Hours later, after security finished gathering information, Adrian walked back to find Mia asleep on the couch, curled up under a blanket one of the maids had given her. Her face still showed traces of fear but also relief. Adrian stood quietly, feeling an unexpected sense of responsibility settle inside him. She had risked her life for his. Now it was his turn. When she woke, dawn was breaking. She looked around, confused. Adrian sat nearby, sipping coffee. You're safe, he assured her. She rubbed her eyes. Thank you, he smiled. No, Mia, thank you. Her cheeks warmed with emotion. So, what now? Adrian leaned back. Now, I find out who tried to kill me. And I want you. Somewhere safe until then. Mia hesitated. I still don't understand why I helped you. Something in me just knew I had to. Adrian nodded slowly. Sometimes, fate pushes us before we realize why. She looked at him, uncertain yet trusting. And you, why did you grab my hand and stay? He smiled softly. Because you were the only person in that room who looked at me with fear for my life, not fear of me. A quiet calm settled between them, a connection forged in a night of danger and instinct. This isn't over, Adrian said quietly. But I promise you, whatever happens next, you won't face it alone. Mia exhaled, feeling a mix of relief and dread. Somehow, she knew her life had just changed forever. And as the first light of day warmed the room, neither of them could deny the truth. The moment she slipped him that note, their worlds collided for a reason.